Here's my audience. Okay, I think we've all had misconceptions on how pit bulls are mean and vicious and dangerous animals. But what I want to tell you and talk to you about is how they're also calm and kind and gentle. And I mean, we've all heard stories even about Chihuahuas having bad tempers and being vicious and being mean. But I think we've all had bad experiences with 2020. But what I want to talk to you about is what hardships that I went through during 2020. The first one was my son. He graduated high school. He's our only child. He graduated in May and then moved off to college in June. So for me, with it being our only child, one chapter was closing for me, but a new chapter in his life was opening. We were all excited and nervous, and he's doing great. But it left a hole and a void in our family. With it being an only child, we instantly went to empty nesters. But Journey filled a role of being the only child, and she has been an excitement for us. She's somebody we dote on, or something we dote on, and she is really loving being the only child. The second thing I want to talk to you about is, or the second hardship is COVID. We all went through a very hard time in our country. Everything changed. Our schools shut down, our stores shut down, and there was a lot of sickness in our country. One of the things that I went through was, first my husband had gotten sick, and he had a mild case and was over it within a few weeks and had gotten to go back to work. But for me, it was a little different. I had spent 3 nights in the hospital with breathing treatments and oxygen and tons of vitamins and medicine, and was off work for 5 weeks. And during that time, I slept a lot. I took naps, went to bed early, slept in late, and Journey, my pit bull, was there with me. She never left my side. She took all the naps with me, and she was a good comfort to me and kept me from being lonely. And one of the many naps that we took, I remember waking up to whiskers on my face, and she had scooted over next to me and she was sniffing my head, and I know she was checking on me and making sure that I was doing okay. And once again, during all of the COVID and being sick and all that, she had never left my side. The next thing that we went through, or that I had went through, was during COVID, we had lost my husband's father, which was my father-in-law. We called him Pop, and he was just a gentle and kind man and never made a fuss over anything. He was always there to help us as a family, and the glue that kind of just held that family together, our family. He had a short bout with cancer, and it was not too long after that he had passed away. I wasn't able to go to the funeral because of COVID. I was still sick and was quarantined to my house. And then just a short few months later, my dad had been sick for a long time, and he had fought cancer for just a little bit over a year. And about the time Pop had passed, my dad had started really changing and going downhill. He was the pillar of our family. He was a strong man, and it broke my heart to see him have to depend on others to do just simple things. He was the person that I called on my very first call if I needed advice or needed anything. He was just always there for everybody in our family. And not less than a month later, I had lost my grandfather, which he was the pillar on the other side of our family. As long as I can remember, he was all about his family, always wanted his family together, and he was just the most kind, gentle man. He, and I think they would all tell you this, but I was his favorite. And just to prove my point, after he had died, I looked in his wallet, and he had always, my whole life, my whole 40 years, had carried my baby picture in his wallet. And he was one of my favorite people. He loved to hunt and fish, and he had gotten COVID and died just a few days later. In conclusion, Journey was there for me through all of those events. She was a comfort to me. She was kind. She's got a gentle soul, and she never left my side. She was there when my son moved off to college. She was there for me when I was sick and had COVID, and she's been there through all of the deaths in our family of late. And even though they have been a misconception, I also think it depends on how they're trained and who they live with. And they make amazing pets, and they're the most kind and gentle dog that I've been around.